Today's interactive read aloud, we will talk about the author's purpose and using context clues to make predictions. The story that we will be reading today is called The Promise Quote by Candace F. Ransom. I model for my students that how to make a prediction based off the cover of the book. So my prediction, I would say to them, would be about a mom and a daughter that live on a farm that makes quilts for fun to stay warm through the cold seasons. And at this time, I would let students talk with their partner about what they would predict based off the cover photo. Now I will start to read. When I was little, Papa and I often leaned against a coffee tree to watch the sunset over the Lost Mountain. When you're bigger, Eddie, I'll take you to school on the other side of the ridge. Papa promised. You'll learn how to read and write and make your mark on this life. I'd ask students to draw on their sheet of paper what you think Addie would how she'd make a mark on her life. At this time, I allow students 1 to 2 minutes, and then we'll come back together to read the book. Back then, my life was Papa, Mama, and my older brother on a little farm, tucked into the lamp of the Lost Mountain. I thought the world ended over the rise, and for 5 springs it did. War came to Virginia. Men from faraway states marched off to the fight for something called the cause. Papa stepped outside and met the war in his dooryard. He left on a rainy day to be General Lee's guide. The last thing I saw was his red flannel shirt. Based off what we just read, I know this is about the Civil War because at this time I'd have students think, pair, and share. I'd give students about 2 minutes to share, and then we come back as a discussion as a class. So the answer would be we discussed about the Civil War in the beginning of the week, and based off, we know that General Lee was the leader of the Confederacy, and her dad just wanted to leave to serve for his side. The dull boom in the distant canyon circled Lost Mountain like the endless thunder. Sometimes shells whistled overhead. Mama, Adeline, and I would hide underneath the kitchen table, holding hands and praying. The soldiers tramped through our farm, blue coats and gray. They killed our pigs, chickens, and took our fences posts for firewood. Mama read us Papa's letters from places like Antietam Creek and Gettysburg. He wrote them on the back of the broadsides, his scripts cramped to save space. The season dragged by. Mama turned dresses twice because we couldn't buy calico and tried to hide her tears when the army chopped down our coffee tree. At last the war was over. A neighbor told us that General Lee had surrendered General Grant. Every day, weary soldiers straggled past our farm on their way home, but not Papa. At first I thought he was lost, like the cause everyone talked about. Then we learned that Papa had died in a northern hospital. A lady from Pennsylvania sent Mama his red shirt. Mama gave it to me. So some students may not know what calico means, so at this point I just say calico is just another fancy word for cotton that we use in our clothing nowadays. Adeline said we were poor. We still have each other, Mama told us. We just don't have any money. In Papa's tin, we found a stack of Confederate notes and 25-cent silver. The bills were worthless, but Mama bought a sack of coins with a silver coin. My brother hitched himself to the plow. I dropped seeds in the crooked rows, 4 grains to the hill. 1 for the blackbird, 1 for the crow, 1 for the cutworm, 1 to grow. Papa had taught me this rhyme. I pushed the warm, red dirt with my toes and thought of him. We ate boiled turnip tops until the corn came in. Adeline scoured the shattered quartz edge stove wood. I miss Papa more each day. Yet Mama still sang her favorite hymn, Beyond the Sunset, Radiance Glow, There's a Bright World, I Know. I wonder if the world would ever be a bright place again. When the corn crop was ready, Adeline and I toted a hefty bag to the grit smell. Barren woods along the road showed blackened stumps like rotten teeth. One tree was so riddled with lead it couldn't even be split for kindling. The mill had been a hospital during the war. I spied writing scratched on the damp stone walls. What are those words? I asked the miller. The names on the wounded and dying, he said. I traced the rough edges letters and wondered where Papa left his mark. That summer, Adeline found a bee tree. We had a wild honey to drizzle on the cornbread. Mom and I picked the last blackberries standing hip deep in the brambles. I wore Papa's shirt to keep from getting scratched. At last, it was time to go to school. There was no school, Mama told me. The soldiers burned it. But Papa promised, I cried. He said I would go to school when I was bigger. Mama thought a moment, then she said, maybe we'll find a way. Now I want you to, on your second box, I would like you to predict what you think Mama will do to send her children to school. At this time, I would walk around and give the students at least 1 to 2 minutes to draw or write about how the mom will provide them to be able to go to school. She met with our neighbors, but Mr. Brown would let us use his shed while the men rebuilt the schoolhouse. But we still need books and slates. Mama wrote the lady in Pennsylvania who had Papa's things asking if she knew how we could get books for our school. The Pennsylvania lady replied that she'd be glad to help. If Mama could make a quilt, she would raffle it. The money could be used to buy books. Mama dug out her rag bag and laid scraps of the checkerboard arrangement. This is a new pattern, she said. It's called General Lee's Surrender. Night after night, she stitched with the quilt. I sat on the rug and sleepily watched the needle dart in and out. Soon we would have our books, and I should go to school. But one evening, Mama set down her hoop. I don't have enough material for the borders, she said. I can't finish the quilt. I was snuggled into Papa's shirt, and the only thing I had to remember him by. I couldn't give up Papa's shirt. I want you to, this time I allowed students to think, pair, and share of if Addie would give up her dad's shirt in order to go to school. But then I realized the quote wasn't just for me. It was for all the children who wanted to go to school and make their mark on this world. Slowly I slipped off the shirt. Use this, I said. Addie, are you sure? Mama asked me. This is all we have left of Papa. We have his memories, I said. And Adeline nodded. Mama hugged me. I promised to save you a little piece. Red will look nice mixed with the blue border. She scissors Papa's shirt into strips. Then she picked our stitches from the blue border and started over. As she sewed, I watched the red strip become a part of the pattern. I thought about Papa's promise. In a way, he was still keeping it. When the quilt was finished, Mama sent it to the lady in Pennsylvania. The quilt was raffled and the lady wrote to us. It fetched a good price. One fine morning, we received a box of books so new, the covers cracked when we opened them. I breathed into the wonderful smell of words yet unread. On this first day of school, I hiked over the Lost Mountain with Adeline. On the other side, a stream of eager-faced children poured into Mrs. Brown's shed. No one minded sharing seats, using splintered boards nailed to the walls as desks. The teacher had hung the tattered map of the United States to cover the bullet holes. She showed us Virginia, one state among many. Later, teachers taught us how to print our names. I started a letter of my new slate. I finally made a mark on this bright new world. Papa would be proud of me. At this time, I would ask students to close their eyes and imagine what Adeline went through. I would have them think about something that meant something so much to them, and if they would be able to give it up in order to pursue their promise and make a mark on their world. Then we'd come back together and share a few ideas that they had. The overall theme for this book is important for students to understand that based off the cover of the book, it's not going to be about what it looks like it's going to be. It showed more of a historical time period where it played a general role into a family. So using context clues and making predictions throughout the book will help them understand why and what got them to their prediction.